A pair of Chinese nationals have been charged with smuggling a dangerous biological pathogen into the United States. The Justice Department is calling it a national security threat. The fungus they brought in is linked to crop failures, billions in economic losses, and even human illness. But what investigators found on their devices is what turned this case into something far more serious. This is not just a biohazard. It may be the clearest sign yet that America's food supply is a target. It began at Detroit Metropolitan Airport in July 2024. A 34-year-old Chinese man named Zunyang Liu landed in Michigan, saying he was here to visit his girlfriend, Yunqing Jian, a researcher at the University of Michigan. But inside Liu's backpack, customs agents found plant materials that raised suspicion. When questioned, Liu changed his story, triggering a deeper inspection. He was denied entry, and soon after, federal investigators launched a criminal probe. The sample turned out to be Fusarium graminearum, a fungus classified in scientific literature as a potential agroterrorism weapon. Authorities say Liu brought it in to continue research inside a U.S. lab, without permits or disclosure. But here's where things escalate. The investigation revealed that Liu's girlfriend, Yunqing Jian, was not just a lab worker. According to the FBI, she had received Chinese government funding for research on this very fungus back in China. More troublingly, her phone contained messages pledging loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party. Jian was arrested in Michigan and now faces federal charges including conspiracy, smuggling, false statements, and visa fraud. Liu, now back in China, remains out of reach, and the United States has no extradition treaty with China. What began as a customs stop is now viewed by the Department of Justice as a serious national security breach. The name may sound obscure, but its effects are anything but. Fusarium graminearum causes a disease called head blight, which infects wheat, barley, maize, and rice. It spreads silently across farms and silos, leaving entire harvests contaminated. But it's not just a threat to crops. The fungus produces toxins that can lead to vomiting, liver damage, and reproductive harm in both humans and livestock. According to federal officials, this pathogen is responsible for billions of dollars in economic losses globally every year. So how did this end up in a U.S. lab without authorization? Investigators believe the pair used their personal relationship and academic ties to bypass federal protocols. The University of Michigan was not authorized to handle this fungus, meaning it should never have entered the facility. And yet, evidence suggests the lab was the intended destination. Special Agent Chavoria Gibson from the FBI Detroit Field Office said bluntly, their actions posed an imminent threat to public safety. They used access to university facilities to smuggle a dangerous biological agent. And while Jian denied any involvement at first, her own messages told a different story, including open expressions of support for the CCP. This isn't the first time Chinese nationals have been caught smuggling biological materials into the U.S. Over the last 5 years, multiple incidents involving undeclared samples, state-funded researchers, and missing lab materials have raised red flags. Some were traced to military-affiliated institutions in China. FBI Director Kash Patel weighed in on this latest case, calling it a sobering reminder that the CCP is working around the clock to deploy operatives and researchers to infiltrate American institutions and target our food supply. He also emphasized that the CCP's strategy isn't just economic or military. It includes biological and agricultural infiltration, which leads to the core of this case, agroterrorism. Agroterrorism refers to the use of biological agents, like fungi or viruses, to attack a country's food production systems. It doesn't require bombs or cyber attacks. Just a spore in the right place at the right time can cause devastating ripple effects. Fusarium graminearum, if spread across U.S. farmland, could trigger a national crisis with skyrocketing food prices, mass crop failures, and international trade disruptions. And because it doesn't immediately kill people, it can fly under the radar for weeks until the damage is done. It's the kind of attack that's hard to prove, and even harder to stop once it begins. This case raises an uncomfortable question. How secure is America's food chain? From inflation to supply shortages, the system is already strained. Now, officials warn that even one contaminated shipment or one compromised lab could create an agricultural emergency. And if foreign state-backed researchers are using U.S. institutions to study pathogens banned from transport, what else is being overlooked? This isn't about fear, it's about vigilance. And the FBI is urging both universities and the public to take these warnings seriously. The incident also comes amid rising tensions between Washington and Beijing. Just days before these charges were announced, the Trump administration expanded visa restrictions on Chinese nationals studying sensitive subjects. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said enhanced scrutiny will now apply to any applicant with ties to the CCP or critical research sectors. In this context, the Jianlu case isn't just a scandal, it's part of a wider confrontation, one that blends science, security, and state power. What does it say when the FBI calls a fungus in a backpack a national security threat? It says this: the front lines of modern conflict may not be fought with missiles, but with microbes, seeds, and data. And the next attack on America might not come from above, but from underground. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for fact-first reporting on the news that matters.